Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Melissa and I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in October and November. Fun fact, I actually already filmed this video, but I hated it so much that I'm refilming it. I just didn't read enough in October to justify doing a reading wrap up, so I'm just going to add in the couple things I read into what I read in November. I actually did really good with November, so let's just jump right into it. First book I'm going to be talking about is Out of My Mind by Sharon M. Draper. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely wonderful, amazing, fantastic, show-stopping. I sobbed during this book. It is about a girl named Melody, and she has cerebral palsy. She has to use a wheelchair. She cannot talk. I believe she also has like a photographic memory. It's just all about her trying to grow up and navigate in the world, and it was heartbreaking because it felt so realistic. The reason I love it so much is because I like how it ended. I like how realistic the ending was. It doesn't end up with everybody realizing how terrible they treated Melody and the fact that they could have done better. I don't think that was the moral at all. I think it just shows a glimpse of what disabled people have to go through and deal with. It wasn't even necessarily the most enjoyable read because there were so many hard moments where she's just treated so poorly because people think that she's just dumb, that she's just stupid because she can't talk. It wasn't, you know, oh, everybody ends up being friends and everybody understands how terrible her treatment was. I don't think people really even understood at the end just how badly they had treated her. The next book that I read is If at Birth You Don't Succeed by Zach Anner. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. At first I was thinking it would be a 4, but then the ending I related with so much that I had to give it a 5. This is a memoir about Zach and his life and also growing up with cerebral palsy, and it's really interesting seeing the differences of how varying the disease can be. It's interesting reading these books back to back because they are so drastically different. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was funny. You know, Zach is a comedian, so it was enjoyable. And again, I really related to some of what he had said. The overwhelming theme that I've realized over reading 3, I think, books about disabled people or by disabled people in the past couple months is the joint experience of being so unbelievably underwhelmed by the fact that you can't rely on your own body, how heartbreaking that can be, and how it can really make you go through things mentally. I like how Zach called himself out a little bit, like he kind of called out his past behavior and joking and stuff and how it wasn't cool. I think that's important too, is that like people have changed over time, and just because you're disabled doesn't automatically mean that you're going to treat all disabled people with respect. And you have to be aware of it to do it. So I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I recommend it if you like funny memoirs and are looking for disability rep. Now on to the books that I read in November. We are going to talk about the books that I read for Nonfiction November first. Believe it or not, I actually read 4 books off my Nonfiction November TBR. I know, look at me go. 4 books off of a monthly TBR that I read. Can you believe it? Not only did I read 4 books off of my TBR, but they were full-length books. Unheard of. Unfathomable, almost. It was amazing, wonderful, beautiful. It was a great reading month. First book that I finished in the month was H is for Hawk by Helen McDonald, and I did not love this. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I was very confused by this. It felt very all over the place. It just felt like it was trying to do too many things in one novel. One thing that I did take away from this book is I did really like how when I was reading it, it really, really felt like I was in McDonald's head as she was writing this, like part memoir, part nature writing, part biography of this one author. Like I felt like I was in her head. It felt very personal. Like this book felt so deeply personal, and that part of it was interesting. Being said, a lot of the stuff I just didn't care about. The setup of this book is Helen is a falconer and her father had recently passed away. and this is kind of her trying to work through that. She decides to get this one goshawk that is like known for being temperamental and difficult. Kind of her training the hawk and all of these things. Interesting, but on the other hand, like it's like we get like her inner thoughts, and then we also get like this weird like side story about like this author that's like inspiring her as she's going through this like training of this hawk, which was weird. Like I didn't care about this author. Like I don't want to know. Like I don't want to know about him. I don't care. Like you care, but I don't. Like also part like talking about falcons and falconry and stuff like that, which was really cool, but it just felt like all over the place. At the end of it, I was like, what was I supposed to take away from this? Was I supposed to know more about falcons? Because I don't really feel like I knew that. Was I supposed to know more about Helen? I guess I kind of knew that, but like at the same time, like that was only ever so slightly brushed on. Like, and then I knew about this other author named White. I don't know. It was weird. Just felt kind of like a weird diary almost. The word challenge that I completed for Nonfiction November, I went with discovery because I feel like Donald really discovered a lot about herself. I feel like she went through a lot of things that she had to figure out and discover about herself. So that's what I'm going with. The next one that I read is The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. This is about the women that Jack the Ripper killed. That's it. That goes into their lives and who they were as people and what the times were like living at the time. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good at setting up what the world was like, what the economy was like, what trying to live life as a woman was like back then. Not a full 5-star because it's not necessarily something that I would read again, but it was very informational, which is good because I knew nothing about Jack the Ripper whatsoever. So this was really good, and it was really good at showing that these women that he killed were real human beings. We talk so much about Jack the Ripper, but we kind of, in the same breath, kind of talk down about these women. It was just really good and explored that conversation, I think, really well. The word challenge that I put buzz because I've known a lot of people have read this, and it's Jack the Ripper, so it's like a highly talked about subject. The next book that I read was also about Jack the Ripper, and that is Woman at the Devil's Door by Sarah Beth Hopton. This was about the murderess who they thought this case led them to believe that Jack the Ripper may have been a woman, but when you actually look at the fact, that's not what happened at all. Like, this is not related to that. They're not things that coincide. This was really good. 5 out of 5 stars because this was a really good nonfiction because it was trying very hard to be entertaining, and it was just so interesting. And honestly, I just ended up feeling very conflicted. I'm like, what happened? Like, I want to know what actually happened. I thought the writing was really good. I thought that hearing about the story, I knew nothing about any of this, was really, really interesting. It was wild. And then like hearing about like how the general public responded to this murder was very, very interesting. I actually liked it because I thought it would have more to do with Jack the Ripper, but literally Jack the Ripper is not mentioned whatsoever. Like, it's not about like making a connection to Jack the Ripper. It's like in like the last chapter, in the afterword, it's like, yeah, this case people thought might have been connected, but it really wasn't when we look back at it and when you look at kind of all the evidence and stuff. The last book that I read for Nonfiction November was Disfigured, on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leddick. I loved this book. How could I not? How could I not? How could I not? Absolutely love a book talking about how disabled people were viewed and talked about in fairy tales and just in media in general. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was so good. I thought it was also brilliant that the author recognizes her own privilege within being disabled. I think that's very important because being white and disabled is one thing, but being a person of color, that's way different. Like way different. I think everybody should read this book. Everybody should read this book because it went into things that I hadn't even thought of before. Really opened my counted the word challenges of movement and time with this book because I feel like it covered a lot of different timelines, history and stuff like that, and it also is a movement. On to the other fiction books that I read. The first one is Happily Ever After and Everything in Between by Debbie Tung. I only gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. That was it. Okay. Nothing more, nothing less, just okay. The next book is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I finally did it. I finally did it. After hearing about this book for so long, I finally got to it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be a 5. When I started it, determined it would be a 5. And then we get into it more. And I can't put my finger on what it is about it that makes it a not 5-star read for me. That doesn't make it a new favorite for me. That makes it a book that I don't think about all the time. But it just isn't. It started off, I feel like, so strong and interesting and riveting. And then as I'm putting more space between me and this book, do I have that desire to go and read the rest of the series? That's what I'm not sure about. There's something about the plot that I didn't enjoy. If I'm being honest, I think it was brilliantly written. The direction of the plot just like took a way that I didn't want it to go. I just felt like it lost so much momentum. Like the past 100 pages, I was just like, is this really what we're dealing with here? I don't know if I'll read the rest of the series. Didn't hit for me. It didn't hit, and that's what makes me sad. Next book is Coffee Days, Whiskey Nights by Cyrus Parker. 5 out of 5 stars. They do it again. They killed it with this collection. Every single collection I read of theirs, I love even more than the previous collection I had read. At this point, I have read all of Cyrus's work, and I love every single one. There was points where I was reading it and I was like, play it again. Like it was so good. They are hands down one of my favorite poets, and I love their work, and I cannot wait to read more. The very last book that I read in the month of November was September Love by Langley Ave, and I gave this 2 stars. It was terrible. Like, it was just not good. Me and Lang, sometimes we vibe. We vibe real good. And then other times we don't at all. And like, this is like probably my least favorite collection of hers. I just like, at the end of it, I was just like, well, what are you trying to tell me though? I felt like she was bored writing it. Like, I was like, okay, do we have more oomph? That's all the things I read in October and November. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed filming this one more. I know I'm gonna enjoy editing it more because I'm not like, I hate trying to edit videos like that where I'm just like, and then like that. No, that's misery for me. That's all I got. Let me know how you did in the past couple months. Let me know if you participated in Nonfiction November or the Disability Readathon. Tell me. I'm just trying to be cute. My hair got stuck in my glasses. That's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I shall see you in the next one. Bye.